Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Art of MMA. I'm your host, Mike Ginn, back again, now on to our second quarter century, I guess, episode number 26. Joined as always by the man I'm talking about, the mechanic, Brandon Cuttino. Brandon, what's up?
Hey, man, it's Tuesday. Time to talk about some fights.
You're not still a pissed off wrestling fan?
Little man here and there. Hey, we're getting better. You know, I always got AJ Styles and I got Seth Rollins. I'm good.
All right, the pain's kind of soothing. Of course, WrestleMania weekend coming up this weekend right here where I am at Tampa, but I unfortunately have other plans. Not unfortunately, it's my daughter's birthday this weekend, so I'll be catching up later on all that. This week, we're going to be talking about a lot of news going on. I'm talking about we finally got the pay structure for Venom. We finally found out that Endeavor is now going to be taking over 100% of UFC and making that public and doing a couple other things. Talk about Mike Goldberg, obviously. We're going to break down Bellator 255 that we talked about last week. Of course, Pitbull, once again, you know, king of the featherweight world. And then we're going to kind of breeze through. You know, we're always going to do our picks at the end of the show. This week, we're going to make sure we pay attention to one. One has their first card on TNT following AEW Wrestling this Wednesday. And then right behind them, Bellator 256 with Bader and Machida 2. And then this weekend, we got Kevin Holland stepping back in the cage on short notice against Vettori for Darren Hill. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. But you ready to get started, Brandon?
You know it.
All right. Real quick also, fighters first. Brandon's got his Art of Logo tee. Right above me, you see the promo code. Sorry to be a little sloppy with this, guys. But, yeah, artofmma.com/shop. Check out the promo code Pitbull in honor of Pitbull this week. Save 20% on all your purchases site-wide this week only. So promo code Pitbull, artofmma.com/shop. And as Brandon always says, like, subscribe, hit that button, hit the bell if you want to know when our new episodes are out. All right, let's get to some news, Brandon. This week in MMA, first off, just mentioned it, Endeavor. Now, they'd always owned a majority. For the last 4 years, them and I guess their name was WME as far as like their stock name, which is, I think I referenced that last week. Right after we got off the air, actually came out an article that Endeavor now is going to be owning 100% of the UFC because they're going to take it public. The one thing about that is that interests me anyway is that as a publicly traded company, somebody like Dana White, who's very private with a lot of things, those things aren't going to be secret anymore. And we just saw and I'll combine this with the next news story. We just saw the payout structure with Venom come out that probably wouldn't have came out if they weren't about to go public. The Reebok structure was always kind of a mystery a little bit. They kind of gave us like an outline, but never really told us 100%. Well, combined with that Venom story, now if you have less than 3 fights, you get 4,000, 5 fights, 4,500, 6,000, 11,000, all the way up to, if you're defending your title, you get about 42,000. A lot of fighters, a lot of fight fans have come out and bashed this because Dana came out and said they're going to make more money off this deal. They're going to be a lot happier. Well, the pay structure is pretty similar, and it's only about a 500 increase, I believe, on the lower end. Do you think fighters are going to be happier with this, or are they just kind of used to it at this point?
Nah, I mean, it doesn't change much. Like you said, it's just another $500. I mean, hey, it's $500, but it's not like a big. It's not a. I guess I would say it's not life-changing money, you know. So I don't think much of the pay scale. Like I said last week, man. It's that the fighters aren't involved in it, so they have no input. So it's coming from somebody who doesn't have to worry about this, is saying that it's going to be good for the fighters. But it's like, you're not the fighter, Dana. You don't know what's going on.
I think the only good thing that comes out is that the fighter kits, the ones they just showed off the last couple of days, look sick. Like, they look really slick, really good. They look like fighters again instead of like, I mean, don't get me wrong. MMA has some of the most elite athletes in the world. But Reebok was more trying to make them look like universal athletes, and Venom's trying to make them look like fighters. I feel like that's how the design kind of looks, you know, especially when, I mean, we all remember not too long ago, like when you wore a shirt that was an MMA shirt, people knew it was an MMA shirt, like whether it was Tap Out or Head Rush or Venom or whoever, like you knew that style, that kind of style was MMA, and that's kind of what they're bringing back. Now, there is a little controversy with that because also evidently they don't have permission in Brazil, which is a huge market. Venom Brazil and Venom USA are two different companies. I guess they're loosely related, but they have a contract with Venom in USA. They don't have a contract with Venom Brazil. And Venom Brazil's said they've been waiting by the phone. Like, but you can't wear Venom in this country without a contract with us. So I don't know how this work out. I'm sure somebody's going to cut a check eventually to make that happen. We probably don't have to worry.
They won't, or I was there, or either they won't be doing Brazil shows anytime soon.
Well, I don't think that. Well, that's another thing I was about to say. I don't think they're doing Brazil shows anytime soon anyway because of COVID. Brazil's one of the more hot spots in the world still, and that's pretty much like travel restrictions. Like a lot of Brazilian fighters have to fly in like a week early, quarantine and stuff before they get to fight. So, and that's, I don't think it's on Dana's radar to fly down. Now, with Endeavor taking over 100% of the UFC, I can't talk today. The UFC, I just don't know what their plans are. I don't even know if Dana, like as far as I know, I don't even know if Dana will keep 100% power that he has as president. He may have to like back off a little bit. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out when they go public. Because if they go public, there can also be, depending how much they put up for stock, there could be more, power going to chairman and board members and stuff like that. People they got to please. Next news story, Mike Goldberg. We talked about it a little bit last week, out at Bellator. It's kind of official now. We knew Mauro Ranallo was going to be taking over for Showtime. But it's official that Mike is now a free agent. He can go do what he wants. No bad blood. Him and Scott are really good friends. Different reasons why people think it happened. One, Mauro has a great relationship with Showtime, first and foremost. He does their boxing. He does their specials. He can cross-promote Bellator by doing other things. The other thing is that, and John McCarthy brought this up, I don't think it has much to do with it personally. Maybe you do. He says that they just want to go in a different direction because Mike Goldberg is still closely associated. His name is associated with UFC, and they want to be different. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
No, I don't. I don't really think so with that. I really want to go with that. To me, Mauro, to me, if you really look at the two guys, in my opinion, Mauro Ranallo is the better of the two. He's the best one of the bunch. But like you said, he is with Showtime. Think about when Strikeforce was on Showtime, who was the play-by-play guy? It was Mauro, and of course too there was Gus Johnson as well when they were trying to bring him along.
Does Showtime still have a deal with CBS?
Yeah, Showtime.
They still own I know Viacom, but is it still to the point where they can cross? Could Bellator put a show on CBS?
Yeah, they can. Yeah. That's that's something that's in the talks. Hopefully if they ever do a big show again. But I was saying, but Mauro is, he does Showtime boxing. So I just think that it's just that the guy Evan Espinoza, I think that's his name, right? Or Espinoza's last name, the guy that runs Showtime like that. He knows Mauro. He wants to rock with Mauro. Like the thing was with Bellator, when they had Mauro and Goldberg, but if you notice when they would do pay-per-views, Mauro was the guy that was doing the play-by-play when they were staying on Paramount Network, or they were doing regular TV shows. That's when they would have Goldberg in.
My only concern about Mauro is his mental health, and that's not a knock on him. I suffer from certain things myself. We've obviously dealt with it very personally with this show over the last few months. Yeah. My problem with Mauro is that, and I kind of jokingly said this to you off air, that PFL, even if they're not going to use them, should probably just sign Goldberg and sign Jimmy Smith and sign any talented announcer just to keep them on retainer. Even if they're not using them, just pay them with that ESPN money, because there's going to be a time Mauro can't make a show, especially if they do a lot in a row. Unfortunately, mental health, it's a big thing. Depression's a big thing. He has severe anxiety. You saw it in WWE, both on the main roster and even at NXT, when somebody would criticize him, especially somebody he considers a peer. He really couldn't handle it. That's just how severe his anxiety is. And it's unfortunate because he's one of the most amazing, most talented people we've had do play-by-play in the history of the sport of MMA, all the way back from Pride Elite XC, Showtime. He's been involved for a very long time, back in the day with Bass Rutten and some other stuff. So we always wish the best for Morrow. And he's also, we know he's one of the best, but you also have to have somebody on standby. And I think letting Mike Goldberg just go, I think might be a mistake, because, what happens if you need a fill-in? Who better than somebody like Mike Goldberg?
I'll take Sean Wheelock any day over Goldberg.
Well, that's another good name too. But you got to have these guys on that Viacom payroll just in case, because they're not going to show up at the last second if they have something. Because somebody else will be like, "Hey, we'll pay you to go over here," and they'll be like, "Okay." Like you said, prize fighters, well, they're paid to do announcing.
Yep.
So, I feel like we kind of talked about this in depth, but John Jones just keeps on making on headlines. $8 to $10 million wasn't enough. Derek Lewis was like, "Shit, I'll take that." Turns out they did actually offer Derek Lewis the fight in June. Ngannou said no because it was too soon. Not necessarily that he was turning down Derek Lewis. He does want the John Jones fight. But Francis Ngannou always said it all along, even after the fight, his date is July into August.
Yep.
That's when he wants to return. He wants to go spend some time with his family. He wants to go visit Africa with the title. He wants to do a lot of things. And obviously with the pandemic, if you travel, you have certain restrictions. You have quarantines.
Yep.
Hard to train. I'm assuming that it's harder to train. John Jones wants $50 million. There's no way Dana's doing that, is he, Brandon?
It's Dana White. We'll have to see what happens. Hey, I think, what is it? When it was a different sport, but when McGregor went to fight Mayweather, he had got paid $50 million for that fight.
I always say boxing's different. I always say boxing's different because you don't have as many fights on the card. It's literally like a handful of fights versus UFC doing anywhere from 10 to 12 fights. Yeah. So it's a lot less people to pay. And also, everybody in a boxing fight is there for the main event. Mm-hmm. Like, you can have the best undercard in the world. People are there for the Tyson fight. People are there for the Mayweather fight. People are there for Canelo, Pacquiao. Like, unfortunately, Terrence Crawford is one of the most talented people in the world. They're talking about him and Pacquiao getting matched up. Pacquiao's the A side. Terrence Crawford's the hot champion, like prime of his career. Pacquiao will be the A side because he'll put the people on pay-per-view. Yeah.
But that's how it would be if it's Jones. Anybody John Jones fight, John Jones is the A side.
Is he?
He's the A side.
You don't think today that people will sign up to see Ngannou more than John Jones?
They would see John Jones still. John Jones is still the man. I don't care. You could take all his stuff outside the octagon. When he's in the octagon, man, the dude just does special things.
But what about the last two times he's fought? He arguably won.
Hey, he beat Anthony Smith hands down. Like, that fight was over and done with.
But he lost to Reyes.
The Reyes fight, the Reyes fight was close. That was exciting. But
the fight before that, Santos gave him everything he could handle.
Yeah, you're right. That was another good fight. But either way, he's still the A side though. You're still watching the fight for John Jones. You're not you want to see Ngannou, but tell me this: if it was John Jones versus Stipe, who you watching for? Stipe or John Jones? You watch to see John Jones move up from light heavyweight to heavyweight. It's the same thing with Ngannou. You're looking for Jones to go from light heavyweight to heavyweight and become another champion.
If you had told me a year ago when they first started talking about this Ngannou Jones fight that John Jones would be the underdog, I'd be like, you're crazy. But the way Francis Ngannou has evolved, and it was almost overnight, because just before the Stipe fight, I was personally expecting the same thing. You picked Ngannou, but I was personally expecting the same thing to happen the first fight. And Ngannou showed me something. He showed the whole world something with his defense, for one, on the ground, and then the ability to actually do something, the float over, Ngannou's always famous for getting behind somebody and throwing these haymakers across your face. Like, he's done that to Junior Santos. He's done it to a bunch of people. But he could do that on the ground. And not only that, he was evolved in his patience. Like, he didn't blitz him the way he did, Cannonier. Or was it Cannonier? Yeah. Like he didn't blitz him that way. Like
Rosenstruck,
thank you.
Yeah.
Like he didn't blitz him that way. He was patient. He picked his shots. That's a scary man. And I think Jon Jones has gotten so much bad. They say there's no such thing as bad publicity, but I feel like in Jon Jones' case, he's constantly shooting himself in the foot, whether it's stuff that happens completely outside of the cage or stuff like this where he's talking about money. And does he deserve to be paid? Absolutely. I agree with you. He deserves to be paid. But UFC's pay structures never work like that. If he wants to get a massive amount of the points on the pay-per-view, like Conor does, like that's how Conor gets paid. People don't realize that. Conor gets paid from the pay-per-view points. He has that deal where he has proper on the cage on mat, and he has the deal where he gets a shit ton of points on the pay-per-view. He might only get $1 or $2 million for the fight. Conor's getting $20 million, $50 million from the pay-per-view points.
Mm-hmm.
Jon Jones wants it up front. Dana's never going to do that.
I don't blame him. Hey, that's what he wants. That's what he wants. Hey, like you said, you don't know what's going to happen till it happens. We'll see. I mean, but according, though, to Jon Jones, deal is done. He's good to go. He says that the fight's going to happen. The date will be announced soon.
That was an April Fool's joke.
Was it? Oh, I don't know.
Dana even chimed in. That was an April Fool's joke.
Because I would say I don't even when I saw it.
Yeah, you got to be careful what you see this week. Now that was an April Fool's joke. Because also like 2 days later, Real News, that's when they announced they actually tried to get the Derek Lewis fight. I feel like we'll see Lewis and Ngannou before we see Jones. If we see Jones and Ngannou, it probably won't be until like Christmas time, in my opinion. Taking a little too long on this. So also in your favor, Rumble Johnson chimed in. He thinks Jon Jones beats Ngannou also because he can do so many different things and beat you so many different ways. I don't know if I would bet on Ngannou against Jon Jones. I don't know if I'd bet on Jon Jones. I just, as a fan, want to see that fight. And I don't think until they come down to a reasonable amount, I think give him $10 million and give him a shit ton of points. Make the fight happen. But Jon Jones has to compromise a little bit right now. And I think there's so much animosity between him and Dana that they have to have dinner. Like they can't just do it over the internet. They can't do it over the phone. Like they're going to have to actually meet.
Hey, man, like Cyborg said, she said, yo, Jones, come to Bellator. You'll be happy. And I believe her.
Yeah, a little tampering there, Cyborg. You still got a contract.
As I said, man, that's why when people want to get on Jones for saying cut me, I'm like, yo, I don't blame him. I'd be like, come because he knows what's up, man, because he knows the UFC won't cut him because they know he's a cash cow. He's bringing in money. He's bringing in money for them. Otherwise, they would let him go.
Dana's petty.
But he makes money.
Knows you got value. He's going to let you sit on that contract. He won't do anything. Couple quick other things real quick before we move on to some fight announcements. One, kind of like a fight announcement, not yet. Dan Hooker's calling out RDA. That's a fight we kind of talked about when we were talking about how the lightweights kind of break down, who would be a good matchup. So I think I can speak for Brandon on that one. I think that would be a fun fight to watch. I think we'd all enjoy that one, especially the way RDA looked against Paul Felder last year. So that'd be interesting. And then, man, probably one of the grossest things you're going to see if you Google it, CFFC last Thursday, one of the toughest men alive, Khetag Pliev, I believe he's a former Olympic wrestler too, right?
I'm not sure. Maybe you're probably right.
I think he's an Olympic wrestler also. In the middle of his fight, lost his finger. Now, he didn't actually lose it, but for all intents and purposes, he did. So his ring finger, he was blocking it. Like you had to watch the replay to find out what actually happened. Live, everybody was just like, what is it? What's going on? We all saw the picture of him missing a finger. Live, he blocked a kick, which dislocated his finger. Then in the middle of it, his opponent, who might be one of the dirtiest fighters I think I've ever seen, because he didn't just grab the glove by accident. He dug his fingers in and like pulled underneath. The referee might need to be replaced too, because he was looking right at it until he complained that it was illegal. He didn't make him like let go. But basically ripped his glove to the point where his finger went missing. Nope, they were looking in the crowd for this finger. They were looking in the mat. They were like, where did it go? This is how disgusting this moment is. It didn't bend down in the finger, in the glove. No, it bent the other way in the glove, and it was completely torn, hanging on by a shred. The only reason I'm telling you this story, folks, because this is the miracle of modern science. They have reattached his finger. Now, I think he would have fought whether he had a finger or not. I think he would have continued his career. We've seen fighters with fight without a hand. We've seen all kinds of stuff. This man's one tough man. I really hope he does live out his dream and make it to the UFC, because that's a story we can tell coming up, hopefully in the near future. Super tough dude. And I'll tell you what, watching that replay of the fight, watching it back, he was winning that fight with one hand for 2 rounds until they realized that finger was gone. He was winning that fight. He barely used the left hand, and he was just nailing the guy with right hand after right hand. So hope Pliev has a full recovery. Hope he gets back in that cage soon. We've seen disgusting injuries in like basketball, Paul George breaking his leg through. We saw Gordon Hayward, all those guys kind of coming back. This isn't a JPP moment for people down here in Tampa and the New York Giants fans. He has his finger back. So here we go. Good story. And also CFFC Cage Fury put on some amazing cards last week. So if you have Fight Pass, go back, check out last Thursday and Friday. Shout out to Rob and Arias and all those guys. Putting on
shout out to my teammate Solomon Renfro, man. He got that first round knockout, right? Got to talk to CM Punk. He told the governor of New York and New Jersey to fix those potholes.
I'm surprised he didn't challenge CM Punk to a fight. But I don't think CM Punk wins that fight. Renfro is going to be a superstar for a long time. I watched that fight. I love that kid. Like, if he gets a little more patience, he will just absolutely annihilate people. All right, let's talk about some fight announcements before we get into what happened this last week. As far as fight announcements that people really care about, I've saved it for this one instead of doing it during the news. 5 rounds, Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards. They're going to go to blows on UFC 262 on May 15th next month. What do you think of that fight, Brandon? Are you excited for that one?
To be honest with you, no. I'm happy for Leon that he's getting a big name, but I just don't see anything really special happening with that fight.
Man, we were just talking about him too after the Luque fight, and Luque called him out, and I didn't even really give it any airtime because I was like, there's no way Nate Diaz is fighting somebody like that. And then like literally like a day later, he's like, yeah, we're fighting Leon Edwards, 5 rounds. I'm just like, wow. I didn't see that one coming. I think that's just a matter of no top guy wants to fight Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards doesn't want to risk his reputation on another fight against like somebody like Bilal Muhammad, who's ranked a lot lower. Mm-hmm. By the way, I heard Bilal Muhammad's about to have a fight announcement against Damian Maia. I don't think it's official yet, but good for Bilal. He's getting a little bit more name opponent coming up. Despite what happened, going to be in
June. I think it's what they're looking at, June.
Yeah, that's what I heard. But when that's final, we'll definitely announce that for Bilal. But, there we go. Leon Edwards got an opponent. He's got a name. He wins this. You almost have to give him a title shot, right?
Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, the only people who get a title shot either should be Leon Edwards or it should be Stephen Thompson. They're the only 2 people.
I wouldn't mind seeing somebody different, like Luque or somebody like that, but I think he still needs like maybe one more win. Chiesa. I want to see Luque and Chiesa fight. I mentioned that last week. I want to see them go toe to toe. So,
or maybe Chiesa he get that Kobe Covington fight that he wants. And he beats Covington.
Nobody. Kobe ain't fighting nobody unless it's a major. He's like John Jones. Back the Brinks truck up, or he ain't fighting unless it's a title. I don't think we're going to see Covington until later this year when he just has to fight to keep his name alive. Yeah. I hope we see the Edwards fight. I want to see that fight, but I don't know if we're going to see it. Other fight announcements. Darren Till is out. We hinted at it in the intro. Kevin Holland, who just came off a 5-round beating of by Derek Brunson. Now, he didn't take a lot of punishment. I mean, he took a couple blows, but not a lot of punishment. But Derek Brunson stepped up, last-second replacement. Darren Till broke his collarbone, unfortunately, so he's out this weekend against Vettori. Derek Brunson's still in shape. Derek Brunson, I guess, still in Las Vegas. It's like, I'll fight. So it's official. Him and Marvin Vettori this weekend, main event. We'll talk about how we break down that fight later, but are you surprised by this, or are you just, at this point, it was just the only person available?
I mean, Kevin Holland, he likes to fight. I mean, that's why if he could, like I said, man, he's trying to be another Cowboy Cerrone, man. You know, Angela Hill. He just wants to fight. So if he could, he would probably fight every other week if he could, or like once a month.
All right, so that's twice that Brandon has taken my segue. He's taken the Cyborg, saying Jones should come to Bellator. That's why I shouldn't send the show notes to Brandon before we go on air. And the other fight I was going to talk about, super fun fight, Amanda Ribas versus Angela Hill. Speaking of people who like to fight a lot. Angela Hill, that's going to be on May 8th. That's another one. That's on the Cody, the Cody versus the Dillashaw fight. Yeah. That's going to be on that undercard.
Dillashaw, Cody Stamen. Sandhagen.
Sandhagen, thank you. That's what I was. Corey
Sandhagen.
Thank you.
Corey. Yeah, you're saying Cody. Corey. It's Corey Sandhagen.
I threw myself off when I said Cody, and I was like, not Stamen. Like, wait. Yeah, Corey Sandhagen versus Dillashaw. Yeah. It's on that card on a fight night. I don't know which number that one's going to be yet, but we'll get there soon enough. It's coming up in less than a month, or right about a month. Another news, Mayra Bueno Silva out with an injury. They're looking for a replacement for her versus Poliana Botello on May 1st. And then talked about a little bit on the intro, Cyborg, Leslie Smith 2 is going to take place in Bellator on May 21st. Before we go on to results, what do you think Bellator is going to do with Cyborg? Because it's not much different than Nunes in the UFC. A lot of the girls that she has to fight either aren't worthy of her time or are somebody she's already beat. She destroyed Leslie Smith the last time they fought. This isn't like, it went a few rounds. Let's see if Leslie can do better. If Leslie makes it out of the first round, she does better.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of shocked. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like I kind of forgot that Leslie Smith was signed with Bellator or she wasn't, and they just signed her. Because also, too, I don't see Leslie Smith as a 145er. I see her as a 135er. Because I think 125 was too hard of a cut for her. So that's why she would fight at 135.
I mean, she's fought at 145 pounds a couple times, though. She fought, obviously, against Cyborg once. She knows what she's getting into.
That fight was at 140. Yeah, that fight was at 140 when she fought Cyborg. Because remember, they used to make Cyborg cut down to 140 to fight in the UFC.
Yeah,
before they eventually opened up the 145 division.
That's when they were trying to get her down for Rousey. They're like, look, you can go here, you can go there. And then Rousey never wanted to do it.
I mean, like, I'll tell you this, man. I believe in Scott Coker where he knows how to build divisions, unlike the UFC with 145. Like I said, there are plenty of women at 145. The only thing is, like, this is what I want to say is that we just don't know who they are. Like, that's just, I think with the MMA fans and the media, like, we don't know who they are. Like me, like, all right, we know Julia Budd. Why? Because we knew her from when she was in Strikeforce anyway. So, but I mean, she already came in, squashed her, took care of business on her. Then she had
has she fought Anderson yet?
Megan Anderson? No, she's never fought Megan Anderson.
That's somebody she could bring in. They could bring in.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's why I was telling you, when Megan Anderson's a free agent, I can see her going to Bellator because that way it's a real 145 division. Or Megan Anderson could go to PFL if she wants to. But I just see them bringing in girls. Or also too, I think what it is, they might be doing these rematches just to give other girls, cage time, to get themselves ready for when they do think that.
Funny enough, I'm on the opposite end of you. Like, normally you're the one like trumpeting the PFL horn. I actually think Megan Anderson's going to go to PFL. I feel like her matching up with somebody like Carissa Shields, somebody like, Kayla Harrison's like more appealing to her. Especially when they have the $1 million tournament for somebody in her weight class. So
I can see her going there too because I told you those are two options that I said it's either Bellator or PFL.
Didn't you tell me they also have like an opening in they don't have all the women set up yet, or do they? I
don't think so. I
I haven't heard anything officially
because the thing too, I remember hearing from I don't think it was her coach. I think it might have been one of her teammates, but saying like 145 can be a struggle for her as well. So it's like, she can, if she 155 will be a lot easier for her. And plus two, she's a tall girl. So, she walks around, I think 6 feet. So 6 feet to to 145 might be tough, but 6 feet 155 for her might be a little easier. So
I think Anderson's
that's why I
taller than
say
that.
she has
Anderson,
options.
isn't Anderson like 6'2" or 6'3"?
I thought she was just 6 foot.
Yeah, 6 foot even. You're right. But yeah, that's
Man,
definitely.
I know. I know the ladies, my friend. I know the ladies.
I'm trying to get you in trouble. It's close to her birthday. It'd be nice. All right. You ready to talk about some fights that happen?
Yes.
All right, we're gonna break down Bellator 255 real quick before we hop into some picks this week. We got a lot of picks to make, so we probably won't spend too much time talking about Bellator. Man, when are they gonna put some respect on his name? Like the best featherweight in the world. And I love Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway and Pitbull would be the best fight we could see in this current era. Volkanovski, no disrespect. He's not Pitbull, especially somebody his own size like Volkanovski. Pitbull would destroy. Brian Ortega is a different challenge because Ortega's kind of changed his game since he came back from that layoff. That would be an interesting fight. But right now, there is nobody, and I mean nobody, especially not in Bellator, and I know what you're going to say. I know who that dude is.
Yeah, you know.
But as of today, maybe down later this summer when they finally fight, you can say something different. As of today, Patricio Pitbull Fear is the best featherweight in the world. Put some respect on his name. He dismissed Emmanuel Sanchez, who he only beat I think it was split decision last time they fought, right?
Yeah.
He went the distance.
So, went all 5
And
rounds.
some people thought Sanchez might even have won. Pitbull erased all doubt. He came out and he choked Emmanuel Sanchez completely unconscious. So I'm going to give you your moment right now because I know you're about to say it. Tell me what we got to look forward to now that Pitbull has won his part of the bracket.
Hey, man, you know what it is? It's going to be him, and it's going to be AJ McKee, the finals of the Grand Prix. I think it's going to be a good fight. I mean, this is the fight that everybody wanted. They were talking about it in the beginning of the show, you know, when they would go to, to their sports desk, you know, with AJ McKee there anyway. Like, and they were saying, like, this is the fight that everybody wanted. You know, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I mean, I liked what AJ McKee said, where actually he wanted Sanchez to win, but that was
both of them, yeah,
exactly, yeah. Because that's what he's going to be Sanchez at featherweight, and he's going to move up to lightweight and beat Pitbull there. But I mean, hey man, we get the fight that we want. Hey, you never know, man. AJ McKee will get the job done at featherweight, and then boom, we can still see the fight again at lightweight because the fight will probably be so good that the people still want to see it anyway, and he can go challenge him at lightweight, and he can be the next double champ. But what you said is right though, man. Pitbull, like we both called it. We knew Pitbull was gonna take this one. Like you said, man, it was the first fight with him and Sanchez, went the distance. This time he got him out in the first round, put him to sleep, didn't waste any time. He got to work. There was no filling out process because they didn't need to fill each other out because they already fought before. And it was just a good fight. Like that's what he's doing now. Like thing is before now with Pitbull is stopping people. You know, his last fight, he had the knockout. This fight, submission, he can do it all.
It's like he's fighting with a chip on his shoulder now.
Yeah. I don't blame him. I would be too, because the thing is like you've been out here putting in this work, beating people down, mowing people down. You went up to lightweight. You freaking starched Mike Chandler,
who's now about to fight for the UFC title.
Yeah, exactly. But for some reason though, everybody don't want to know you. Why? Because you're in Bellator. But hey, there's this guy named Volkanovski. He's the UFC champ, but he's the best. Why? Because he's in the UFC. Nah, man, he's not the best. You know,
well, I don't even think people that are UFC fans only, like casual fans, even think Volkanovski's the best featherweight. I think they all think Max Holloway or Brian Ortega. So I'm excited about this AJ McKee fight. I hope we don't have to wait too long to see it. Obviously, Pitbull's ready to go. He literally said, "I'll fight you next week. I don't care."
I mean, from what I hear, I heard June maybe could be when it goes down.
I mean, he didn't take any damage.
Yeah.
AJ's been resting since what, December?
Yep.
Let's get it. Let's get it done, Scott. You have us on the hook. We want to see this. You got your lightweight Grand Prix starting up this weekend, or light heavyweight Grand Prix starting this weekend. Beta Machida. Throw it in the mix. Let's get that final this summer. Let's get it because we want to see it. So give it to us. Get your money for Showtime. Go get those people signed up for the subscription service or 7-day free trial. But whatever, you sign up, yeah. We got a little mixed up last week, Brandon. By the way, both Brandon and I 3-0. So I'm now 19-13. Brandon's 19-14. Our guest last week, Alex Extremo Soto, 2-0. But when the lineup was originally listed, it was listed as Jackson as like the third fight, I think, versus Neiman Gracie, and then the co-main was actually Nurmagomedov versus Hamill. Somehow that got switched. Maybe it was just listed wrong initially to begin with. I think it's a good switch because it was a more it was a better fight, but it was also a more important fight for both guys. So we'll talk about Brandon's fight first before we talk about what we thought was the co-main. You were right. And not only did Jason Jackson show that he could go on the ground, because he definitely held his own. He got taken down. This was not a one-sided fight. Neiman Gracie had his moments. He had Jackson in trouble a couple times. And then Jackson himself, it was actually his own cage placement, I guess, the best way to put it. He had Gracie's back, crushed up against the cage, got his eye all messed up on the cage, and he couldn't even really see half the fight. But Jackson showed enough. He showed himself on the feet. He showed himself on the ground. And now he might be next for a title shot. What did you think of that fight?
It was a good fight from both guys. I like what Neiman Gracie was trying to do. He was trying to get it to the ground, take care of business there. He did have good control though. But the thing was, he really wasn't. He wasn't throwing any strikes, from the ground. And he was trying to get his submissions, but Jackson was able to hold him off. Then, of course, standing-wise, Jackson, to me, I think got the better of him there. But it was a good fight from both guys.
Would you have been upset if the decision went the other way?
No, because
he had a lot of cage control. He just didn't do any damage.
Yeah, because I think what it came down to was I think it was in the third round where I think Gracie did get him down, but he didn't do anything. And then Jackson got back up, and then he started putting some. She started putting some punches on him. But is Jackson next for the title? I can see it happening, or I can see them maybe having him challenge MVP first, and then the winner of that fight will get Lima.
They gotta get somebody. Lima's been inactive since he lost.
Fight. Since he won.
But didn't he lose to somebody?
Oh no, you're right. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right, because he moved up to middleweight.
Yeah, he hasn't fought since he fought Masasi.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Brandon?
You got that
one. I'm a professional, damn it. Sometimes, people, sometimes. Me and Brandon like to have fun. It's okay. So Jackson might actually have a shot next. We'll see. There has been talk about that MVP rematch, but, Lima knocked him out last time. And I don't think there's a lot of rush to bring people over from the UK right now. You saw all the trouble Leon Edwards has gone through, so we'll see.
But no, I wouldn't see Lima versus MVP to happen right away, because MVP hasn't beaten anybody to earn a title shot. That's why I think MVP would have to beat Jackson.
He just beat Houston, where he showed he actually has a ground defense.
Houston,
know about that one. He made Houston look bad, but if you look at Houston, Ross Houston, he was a 2-division champ in Cage Warriors and had all the hype. He was dominant in Cage Warriors. Now, that's a regional promotion in the UK versus a global promotion like Bellator, but he definitely had the pedigree. MVP just made him look foolish, like he makes a lot of people look foolish. But it was the first time we saw he could actually defend himself on the ground. We haven't seen that really before from MVP, so.
Well, I'm saying though, but you're gonna let him just do one fight and he gets a title shot back again, or another chance at Lima.
I just don't think they have a lot of depth right there.
That's why I say give him Jackson. Jackson, him can fight it out. Or are you saying that he can fight MVP next, and then Jackson is there waiting for the winner?
So is Jackson staying at 170?
Yeah, he's a welterweight.
Because I know he fought Benson, and Benson 155 at best.
No, Benson.
I know that fight was at 170.
Yeah.
But both of them look very small for the weight.
I don't know. He's been a welterweight all the time because even when he was on the Ultimate Fighter, that's what it was. It was a welterweight division.
Yeah. The other fight we talked about, Khabib now 4-0 as a coach. Man can't lose a fight. He can't lose as a coach. Shit, I'm about to go sign up for some MMA and have Khabib coach me. I'm gonna go be undefeated, be a champion. Pull my Herschel Walker out, make a late run in life. Other fight we talked about, Terrell Fortune versus Jack May. Funny enough, like Jack May, who hasn't won very many fights over the last however many years, but is huge. Like he's always a threat because he's so big. He's like 6'8", 3. Like he's not 300, but he looks like he could be 300 pounds by fight night. But he talked a lot of trash to Fortune online. Fortune came out, embarrassed him, not like round and pound him out. Fight was never a contest. And then talked trash to May afterwards, like, hey, what you got to say now? We talked about it before. I think the only fight really to make right now is the rematch with Tim Johnson. Tim Johnson's currently their number one ranked heavyweight behind Bader, or I think, Bader, right? Bader's the champ of the heavyweight?
Yes, he is.
He lost the light heavyweight, but he's still the heavyweight champ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bader's locked up in this tournament right now. Let Fortune run it back with Johnson. See if that knockout was a fluke, because right now that's the only other fight I see. Do you think of any other fights for Fortune right now?
I mean, I can see Johnson trying to hold out and just say, hey, I just went for my title shot, you know. But other than that, I mean,
maybe Czech Congo.
Yeah, I mean, Czech Congo is there for Fortune. You know, that's a big name right there. You know, you beat that guy. You know, that's definitely a big name.
I'm just trying to think of any names they have that are available. I mean, they can obviously run the meet. They can do the meet your own fight, which is supposed to happen.
They could run that back, or they maybe could give him Linton Vassell. Yeah, that's how you say his last name. Vassell, because he's not moved up to heavyweight.
And then fortunately, it sounds like Fader's going to be matched up with Junior. I don't know if it's going to be in Bellator or if they're going to do it somewhere different. I think Fedor's still signed to Bellator, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he has one fight. I think this is supposed to be his retirement fight if it does happen.
So they'll be bringing Junior into Bellator if that happens. So yeah, I think the only people Fortune really has is rematch with Johnson, Czech Congo, and then the matchup that was supposed to happen with Mitrione, but we don't really know what Mitrione's situation is right now. It's kind of been a mystery as far as why he had to be pulled out. So anything else on that card stand out to you before we go on to start making some of these fight card picks that we have to do? I have one too, but go ahead.
I was gonna say, I liked how it was with Showtime. I mean, it still looked the same, but that's because I think it's just it's Viacom, it's CBS, it's the same people. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see to seeing how it is on Showtime with them.
I have one name to mention, and I can't even believe he wasn't even higher up on the card. Magomedov, only loss he has on his career is Peter Yan, and he's also before Peter Yan's DQ to Sterling. He was Peter Yan's only loss. This dude is a monster. He is a problem, and he just went right through CJ Hamilton.
Yeah.
Whoever wins Archuleta versus Sergio Pettis, y'all got a problem on your hands, because Magomedov is going to come take that title. I don't have a doubt in my mind. That guy is polished. He's ready. He's been fighting for quite a while. He's 29 years old. He's already got 19 fights. And he's fought against somebody like on the level, like a lot of those Russian guys fight high-level competition coming over here. They're not rookies.
Yeah.
So Magomedov, I feel like he's got championship gold in his future. So we'll see about that. All right. We got 3 fight cards to make some picks. You ready, Brandon?
Yes, I am.
All right. So we've talked about it for a while. I mentioned it not too long ago that one was going to be finally making their TNT debut. I think they might have done some highlight shows in the past. I don't think they've actually done a card. They signed a deal back in 2019. Pandemic kind of obviously messed up everything. Starting this Wednesday after AEW wrestling. So it's going to be a late card at 10 o'clock at night. It's going to be a short card. I think they only got like 4 fights on there. But we're seeing Demetrius Johnson. We're seeing Eddie Alvarez, both names that UFC fight fans know very well, US fight fans know very well. So it's a good intro to their TNT series. We're going to see Vitor Belfort later in one of the cards. So there's a lot to look forward to. So we're going to go ahead and make our picks every week. We're only going to talk about the main and co-main. Cool thing about them is that they also feature Muay Thai fights. They feature kickboxing fights. So it's a little more than just MMA. And then there's a few rule changes. Let's just say Peter Yan probably would be more comfortable and one where he could have kneed him legally because knees are legal no matter where you are. So there's a couple things. They also have some really, I think they have a better weight cutting system as well. Their weight divisions are actually 10 pounds heavier than they are in the U.S. So, 125 is actually 135 in one. So some of these fighters can make weight a lot more comfortably. They don't have to cut and try to kill themselves. So.
Well, no. What they did was they just changed the names because it's still like 125, but they just have a new name for it or whatever it is. So lightweight is now called welterweight, but it's still 155. They just moved the division.
Yeah, I know, but they also have the same fighters. Like they're making them kind of stay in those divisions. So they don't have to cut weight as much. They have rules against extreme weight cutting in ONE FC. So let's go ahead and jump into it real quick. Main event this Wednesday is going to be the return of Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson, Adriano Moraes. I don't really have any doubt who you're going to pick in the fight, but how do you see that fight going?
You know me, man. Mighty Mouse all day. I think he is truly still the best 125er in the planet. I mean, he really could be the best, as you want to say, pound for pound fighter in the MMA spectrum. If it wasn't for weight and size, the dude can do it all.
And for the fact that Henry Cejudo,
he can beat Henry Cejudo. He can beat Henry Cejudo.
I'm still mad about that Ben Askren trade because, man, I wanted to see that fight run back. They needed to break that tie.
But I think it's gonna be Mighty Mouse all day. Like I think he's just gonna run through him.
Do you think Cage? I mean, both of them really have a long layoff. Neither one has fought since 2019. You think Cage Russell have anything against Mighty Mouse?
With Mighty Mouse, no, because I think just the way how he trains, the way how he works with out there in Washington. I just think he'll be well prepared. He'll be ready to go. Like he really is like a student of the game. He really is a martial artist. I think he really is that guy that's just always ready no matter what.
And speaking of the weight divisions, somebody like Mighty Mouse actually probably benefits more than anybody from that because he fought at a heavier weight division, before he cut down to really like dominate, the lighter weights. So it might be actually even more of a benefit. So I'm picking Mighty Mouse too. I don't think there's any question. And I'm, Eddie Alvarez versus Yuri Lapicus. I hope I said that right. I'm picking Eddie. You see that fight going any other way?
Oh man,
he's 14. Yuri's 14-1.
I know. Like I want to.
He did just lose his last fight.
I know. It's like one of those, like I want to say Eddie, but I don't think it's gonna go his way. I just think. I mean,
please pick against Eddie so I can get a win.
Yeah, no, I am. I'm gonna pick against Eddie. I do, Philly guy.
You do know Yuri was knocked out his last fight.
Hey, still don't matter, man. It's still he had a long layoff, and so which means that he was able to recover. But Alvarez, on the other hand, he's been in plenty of wars, plenty of wars.
Not that long. He fought right before Halloween. He actually fought late last year.
Yeah. But I think it might be a gatekeeper time for Eddie Alvarez on this one.
All right, so those are our picks for that fight. Other fights on that card we'll see on TV is Maguire versus Magomedov, Kane versus Barge. So a couple more up and coming fighters as well, rounding out that card on one. Looking forward to it. Watch AEW, then watch some ONE this Wednesday night. Other fight coming up this week, Bellator is back once again. Bellator 256 featuring Bader and Machida in their rematch. Seems like a lot of rematches. Liz Carmouche is on the co-main. Katz and Gano's fighting as well. Not a lot of other big names on that fight card that you might recognize unless you're really familiar with the regional scene. Jeremy Kennedy versus Adam Boritz is another good fight. But the main thing, beginning of the Grand Prix, Machida, Bader trying to get his title back. Who you got in that one and why?
Oh man, I am a big Lyoto Machida fan, but I think I'm gonna go with Ryan Bader. I think it's Bader's time. I think he's still, I want to say like 205 is his division. To me, Lyoto Machida should really still be at 185. But the thing
it must be said that the first fight was 9 years ago. So
yeah, you're right. As I'm saying, like the first fight was 9 years ago. Bader, I mean, that fight too was at 205 as well. And Bader just ran in and he got put to sleep. But I think he's a better fighter now. I think he'll have a better game plan. So I'm going with Ryan Bader for this one.
I was torn a little bit because obviously Bader's only loss recently was to Nemkov, and Nemkov's one of the best in the world right now. People don't even know his name. I still feel he's going to win this tournament. But much like Pitbull, he has to defend his belt every step of the way. And I also don't know really what to expect out of Rumble from being gone so long. But Ryan Bader's looked great the last few years. Machida has been on the hard loss side of 2 straight split losses, Mousasi and Phil Davis. Those aren't bad losses. When it comes to Bellator, those are 2 of some of the best guys you can fight. Phil Davis getting ready to fight for the title in round 1 against Nemkov. So it's not a bad loss. Like, you look at it like, oh, he's lost 2 in a row. But they were split decisions. And they were back and forth fights. Like the Mousasi fight, neither one really wanted to engage too much because they were both worried about hurting each other. Like, they didn't want to get caught. It's not hurt. They didn't want to get caught. Phil Davis and him went back and forth. They both had moments. Obviously, Phil with his wrestling had a bigger advantage. If Bader wrestles Machida, it's lights out, game over. If he stands with him trying to be bold, I think Machida could knock him out. So I'm just going to be different than you. I was actually torn either way, but I think Machida's going to win this fight. I think Bader I think Machida's in his head, honestly. I've listened to them both at press conferences. I think Machida's just straight up in his head. So that's my pick on that one. Carmouche versus Porto. Who you got? Ladies fight. That's your alley, buddy.
It is. I actually am a big fan of, I shouldn't say a big fan. I am a fan of Vanessa Porto. I liked her in Invicta, but I just see Liz Carmouche taking this one. I think she's stronger. I think her wrestling will dominate Porto's jiu-jitsu. And like I said, and I think if Porto tries to stand and bang with Liz Carmouche, I think Carmouche will put her down and put her out.
I agree. Team Hurricane awesome also, by the way. Liz Carmouche is actually one of Alex Soto's teammates out there in San Diego. So definitely supporting that. But I was going to pick Liz anyway because Liz has just fought a much tougher row of opponents. Her last loss was in the UFC against Valentina. Not a bad loss. She lost to Alexis Davis, but she also beat Jennifer Maia. She also beat Chukagian. So, she's beat some really tough girls. She's been fighting for a long time. I think her experience is going to win this fight. And I definitely think Vanessa can put up a fight, but I think this is going to be Liz Carmouche's fight to win. Anything else stand out to you on that card? I know you were talking about a couple things, and then we'll move on to the UFC this weekend.
Hey, man, Kat Zingano's fighting. Big fan of Kat. I really, truly wish that she would have got a rematch with Ronda Rousey in the UFC because in my head, I thought she was the one to beat Ronda Rousey, but then she just made a mistake and she got caught in 14 seconds. But I'm a fan of Kat Zingano, especially with everything going on that happened in her personal life as well. So I'm looking to see how she does in Bellator.
As a fan, huge fan of Kat Zingano because as a person, like what you said, like to overcome the fact that her husband passed away, that right before that Rousey fight, via the circumstances that he did pass away from. Won't put it on blast on. If you know, you know. Single mother. And then she went out and had the most like everybody knew what happened to Kat. And then she had the most heartbreaking loss to Ronda Rousey. Like you saw her crying in the cage. Like those were real. Like that's not, I lost a fight tears. Those were like my life is like just went boom. The fact that she has pulled herself together and been so strong and so forward, and she now like supports causes, like mental health and other things like that. And she's been an example. She did go through a murderer's row in the UFC before she got let go. She lost 4 of her last UFC fights, came back, won a fight in Bellator in September. I feel like Olivia Parker, even though she's 4-1, is probably just going to be like a feeder opponent to get Kat kind of going, to build her up to maybe fighting Cyborg, fighting somebody. Arlene Blanklot would be another great matchup, I think. So I'm rooting for Kat too. That's definitely something I think most people, fight fans, are rooting for. All right, you ready to talk about UFC this weekend?
Yes, I am.
All right. So back on the normal, we're going to make our 2 picks and make our 1 fight pick. And then we also got the 4 other picks. So standings can, we only pick like opposite, like 2 fights. Standings can change though. They can change. I still got a half-point lead on Mr. Cuttino over here, holding tight. Still haven't decided what we're going to do for the prize of the year, but we're going to figure it out. This weekend, Darren Till dropped out. He broke his collarbone, unfortunately. Hope he has a speedy recovery. Marvin Vettori, Kevin Holland. Vettori just beat Jack Hermansson. Kevin Holland coming off the tough loss to Derek Brunson, where he just never really was in the fight. Brunson just controlled him on the mat, controlled him everywhere. Holland had a couple moments on his feet, but Brunson just took him right back down. I feel like Vettori wants to stand and bang with him a little bit more, but Vettori has the same ability to take him down. What do you think happens in this fight?
I mean, if Vettori is smart, he takes him down, wrestles him, holds him down, grounds and pounds him. But I mean, you never know, man. Hey, the fight always starts standing up. We'll see what it is, because when he went up against Adesanya, he tried to take Adesanya down, but he was having trouble with it. But that was Adesanya's like toughest fight in the UFC, really, until they got to gasol him and everything like that. But I just think Vettori will be smart. He will win this fight, and that way he gets 1 step closer to getting that rematch that he wants with Adesanya, which of course then would be that he gets a title shot.
So you're picking Vettori?
Yeah, picking Vettori.
Yeah. Man, I just don't see Kevin Holland losing 2 in a row though. That's what's eating at me. Like, he's one of those like an NBA, like a really good NBA 3-point shooter. If you leave him open twice in a row, he's not going to miss twice.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Holland has the ability to connect. He has the ability to put you to sleep. He almost put Brunson out. Like, the very little bit of he had, like, being on their feet, he almost put Brunson out that quickly. He just didn't follow up like when he needed to. He was trying to like sit back and be patient. He could have put Brunson to sleep. I think it was in the 2nd round or 3rd round or something like that.
Yeah. You did catch him.
Yeah. I'm going to pick Vettori. But man, like, I would not be surprised if Kevin Holland pulled off the upset here. I just wouldn't. And if he does, what's that mean? Does that mean the Brunson fight doesn't matter anymore? Because Vettori is highly ranked too. Like, like, does that mean like him and Brunson running back? Like, what happens? Like, I don't know. Like, I think Kevin Holland can erase all the bad history in one good night this week, or one good afternoon. It's going to be at 3 p.m. On ABC. But one good afternoon, I think Kevin Holland could erase a lot of bad history. But I'm picking Vettori in that one. Co-main event, Sadiq Youssef, Arnold Allen. I love to say Arnold Allen loves to duck a good fight. I don't know if that's a fair reputation, but it's been very well noted that he's been offered several names. Everybody from Brendan Allen when he was coming up. There's been a bunch of names that have said, hey, we had an Arnold Allen fight, and he turned it down. All right, well, he's in the co-main event. He's 16-1. Do you think – and Sadiq's 11-1, so this is going to be a good fight, at least on paper. Who you got in that one?
I'm going with Sadiq Youssef, man. I've been a fan of his ever since I was watching him in the UFC. I think he's got heavy hands, good striking. I just think Sadiq's gonna take it, and he's gonna shock some people.
I really like the way Sadiq looked against Andre Fili about a little over a year ago. I think it was the beginning of the year last year.
Yeah.
He looked great in that fight. He hasn't fought a lot of names though. I mean, Mike Davis, maybe one other name I know he fought. He just hasn't fought that level of competition, but he is 11-1, and you don't fight that level of competition until you fight that level of competition, right? So Arnold Allen, he just fought Nick Lentz about a year ago. They fought around the same time last year. He fought Gilbert Melendez back in 19. But he hasn't really fought that level of competition either. Man, that's a tough decision. I think I'm going to go opposite of you and take Arnold Allen, not to be spiteful. I actually just think Allen's going to win. I think he's more well-rounded. I think if it stays on the feet, I think Sadiq's going to win. I think Allen has more game. He has his chokes, especially that guillotine he likes to do. So, but man, Sadiq can finish you too, but Sadiq's never had a submission. He's always had knockouts or decisions. So I think the more rounded Arnold fight. Go ahead and pick me another fight on that card so we can start getting out of here.
You know what, man? Since you brought it up, I actually am going to go with the fight that you thought I was going to pick. I'm going to pick that women's strawweight fight, Ansarov versus Dern, and I'm going with Dern to get the job done.
That's so tough because we haven't seen Ansarov in, probably about a year or so. She had the baby with Amanda. So she's been, taking care of priorities because, no doubt, right? Yeah. We haven't seen her. Actually, we haven't seen her in a year and a half, over almost 2 years. June 2019 when she lost to Tatiana Suarez. She did beat Gadea. She did beat Marcos. She did beat Angela Hill. So she had a little run before she ran into trouble with Suarez. But Mackenzie Dern's hot right now. Like, Mackenzie Dern has been fighting her ass off lately. Since she had that one loss, she turned around and has won 3 straight fights, 2 decision, and then 2 submissions and 1 decision. I think Dern's going to win this fight. She knows what it's like to fight with a broken nose now, which was a big story because she was so happy she broke her nose. Yeah. I agree. I think it's Dern all day. There's a couple other fights I saw on that card I forgot about that I actually kind of thought about picking. I'm definitely interested in the Sam Alvey Marquez fight. I'm interested in the McDaisy fight. I'm actually really interested in the first prelim of the night, Jim Miller versus Joe Solecki. If you're a MMA fan in the Northeast region, you know both those names very well. Jim Miller, the Miller brothers, obviously, Brandon knows right in his backyard. Joe Solecki, Cage Fury veteran as well. Protect your neck, right? So Joe Solecki, that's a great fight. But my fight, actually, I'm looking forward to the most, Daniel Rodriguez versus Mike Perry. This fight is intriguing to me for so many reasons. You don't know what you're going to get from either guy. Mike Perry is one mental episode from being locked in an insane asylum for the rest of his life. You saw the breakdown he had mentally against Tim Means. You saw Mike Perry come out and look like a world beater against Mickey Gall back in just a couple years ago against Cowboy Oliveira. You don't know what you're going to get. Is it the guy that went tooth and nail and lost a split decision against Vicente Luque? Fought Jeff Neal tough before he got knocked out in that first round. But he was like going back and first couple minutes, and he just got caught with a head kick. We don't know what to expect from Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez was on skyrocketing right towards a title shot, right? Then all of a sudden he fights Nicholas Dalby and loses badly. Like it wasn't even a close decision. I'm picking Daniel Rodriguez because I feel like he's going to go back to the gym, fix his mistakes. I don't think Mike Perry's the fighter he used to be. I think he's a tough fighter.
Yep.
But he doesn't have a corner. He doesn't have a camp. And at this point, he thinks that he can do it his way and be successful. And part of me actually wishes him luck because I think it's admirable that he's like, F the system. I'm just going to do it.
Yep.
But come on, man, this game's been happening for a while. And we've seen people that have bad corners lose fights. We've seen people who have good corners win fights they might not have won before. I'm sure his girlfriend's great, but she's not going to tell him how to get out of a hold and do stuff he needs to do strategy-wise, circle left, circle right, duck this, do that. Daniel Rodriguez has a full corner. I don't see Mike Perry winning this fight. You see it any different?
No, I'm with you, man. Daniel Rodriguez takes it easily, I say. I mean, like I said, Mike Perry's a tough guy, but I could see him getting stopped in the first round, and I could see going all 3 rounds because
I think it's going to go decision. I think it's a decision. Rodriguez can put you out, but he really usually doesn't. He usually kind of just like points you out. So I think it's a decision. Should be a good card this weekend. UFC on ABC. We got a great fight week going on. One on TNT on Wednesday night. We got Bellator on Friday, UFC on Saturday. So fight fans should be excited. Of course, wrestling fans like me and Brandon, WrestleMania, 2 nights this weekend. A lot of being here in Tampa, actually, I'm kind of mad that it's still COVID because, like, I'm partially vaccinated now. I still got to get my second dose. I would love to go to some of these shows, but even WrestleMania, even if they're only limited at $25,000, 25,000 people a night, that's still 25,000 people. They may be seated separately.
Yeah.
they still got to go to and from the arena all together. And I'm like, oh man, I'm not ready for that noise. I'm all about living my life, and I'm all about people having their own personal choice to choose. You guys want to go have a great time. I just sat there and watched that clip of Matt Hardy, like, because the big deal is like they're kind of editing clips off Peacock.
Yeah.
And one of the clips they edited off, because Matt Hardy's obviously in AEW now, was the Hardy Boys return in WrestleMania 33 in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Brandon, when I tell you, it brought a tear to my eye. And I went like on a YouTube deep dive of all these greatest, like, the greatest pops and the greatest reactions and stuff like that. Every time somebody tells me in the UFC, especially in the UFC, that fights are better without fans, like that was the debate last year, right? Like, is it better because you can hear everything you do? No. That a fan reaction makes a fight 1,000 times better or worse. It can go both ways. Wrestling. This is what I think is wrong with wrestling today. We don't have a wrestling podcast, but we should, and we've talked about it, just to let y'all know. But wrestling is missing the surprise, right? Like TNT got mad that Sting debuted in AEW without them telling people what was going to happen because they couldn't advertise it. There's no more FOMO. Like when Batista came back a couple years ago to fight Triple H, you knew it was coming. Instead of just having him walk out on a Monday night, be like, hey, guess who's back? You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
They're all like tied to these networks who want these ratings, but they don't realize they get more ratings. This is how the Attitude Era and all that stuff worked. We didn't know what was going to happen every week. If you missed it, you had to hear all your friends talk about it. Or in this case, in this era, you'd go on social media and be like, wait, what happened? You don't think all these people went and checked out CFFC this weekend after the dude lost his finger?
Yeah.
If you miss it, you miss it. And then everybody's mad they missed it and they make sure they watch next week. They miss the surprise factor. And networks today don't get that because they think with on demand, everybody knows everything. Well, I'll tell you what, WrestleMania 33 wasn't too long ago. And while we had a hint that the Hardy Boys were coming back, they really played it up good because they were over actually doing a like a watch party or something not too far away. And you had all the wrestling geeks like, well, do they have time to make it? Could they go from there to there? And then I saw a behind the scenes thing where they actually snuck them into like the back and then he did all this. Half the people in the arena, including the wrestlers, including the staff, did not know they were there. And everybody thought, oh, here comes the New Day. They're going to be injected into the match.
Yep.
Nope.
They were just good hosts.
Yeah. They were actually – when people tell me – and I think wrestling's struggling right now, but when people tell me the difference between AEW and WWE and all these other promotions, watch their face. Watch their face. The first thing they teach you is how to make facial expressions into the camera. Watch how Biggie reacted when they came out. Watch how Kofi reacted and how Austin Creed reacted. Facial expressions, man. That shit sells everything. Big Cass over in SW. Facial expressions. They take it with them even after they leave WWE. I miss that shit sometimes. Like you notice it. Like they know where the camera is all the time. But that's enough tangent on wrestling. I know you guys have already tuned out. So artofmma.com/shop. Promo codes above. Promo code Pitbull. Save 20% this week. Brandon, anything else before we take out?
Hey, man, just want to give shout outs to my teammates that are fighting this Saturday. They're actually going to be in your state. They're not going to be in your neck of the woods, but they're going to be in your state. And I guess it's Darrell, Florida, Darol.
It's Doral.
It's Doral.
Outside Miami.
It's for the Premier Fight League. So, hey, you guys that are listening, you guys are in Florida, maybe you're down there for wrestling weekend, but you want to watch some MMA fights instead, that's where you can find them at. I'm
not going to tell you that's a very far drive.
Yeah, I know.
That's 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's like driving from Jersey down to DC to watch a fight. That not happen, Brandon.
Right.
Oh man. But yeah, definitely if you're in the MMA area, check out some great regional fighting. Always MMA fans and wrestling fans don't always mix. So if you're a purebred MMA fan, go check out some regional fights, distract you from all the wrestling noise this weekend, as I'm sure you're going to be hearing. Anything else?
No, that's it, man. Just, hey guys, remember, like, subscribe, share with your family, your friends, comment, join the conversation. We like interacting with you guys. Make sure you do that. That way Mike doesn't always have to say it every time.
I'm just kidding. For the mechanic Brandon Cuttino, I'm Mike Ginn. This is Art of MMA. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.